What is up? It's Dakota Layden here from Destination Fear, and you are listening to the Paranormally Zone.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Well, Mike, cross another one off of our paranormal bucket list.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Oh,
referring to.
yes, I do.
Yeah, I just learned about this last night myself. Where have we been? I think this is old news. But the infamous, dare I call it infamous? Is that fair to call it infamous?
I would say so.
The infamous, in regards to paranormal hotspots, the potentially, perhaps, legendary Bobby Mackey's will be no more. It is being torn down, Mike. What the hell?
It's such a new building to be tearing down, isn't it?
Yeah, very new.
Very new.
Very new.
And like I said to you, you texted me this last night, and I texted back, and I believe I said something like, "Where will the demons go?"
Yes, you did. Absolutely, you did.
Back down the well and to the depths of hell.
And it's kind of funny that you said that, because when I saw this on the twit, it was a post shared by Nick Groff.
Yeah.
We're all big fans of Nick Groff and his paranormal adventures. I could pull that up, actually, and so we all know what I'm in fact referring to. But yeah, I guess Nick and his crew have exclusive rights to the final investigation at Bobby Mackey's before it is torn down. And so when I shared that post, I said something similar, Mike. I said, so where the hell will all those pesky demons go?
Yeah.
And then I felt bad because I was like, pesky? Does that sound like I'm being a little sarcastic? I don't know. I'm going to leave it. It's fine. Where will those pesky demons go? They can be pesky.
Well, at the very least, they would be pesky.
At the very least, right? Yeah. Of all the adjectives used to describe demons and demonic activity, pesky probably isn't exactly towards the top of the line, right?
You could put more like, where will the hell spawn demons go?
Ooh, I like that one. The hell spawn demons. See, Mike knows what he's talking about here. Mike should be a marketing expert for the podcast. Don't you think so? What, you don't think so, Mike? You're not an active presence on social media?
Well, you know the answer to that as well as all of our listeners.
Yeah,
I try.
Right here, Nick Groff. This was 5 days ago. He says, huge announcement, the last lockdown. Bobby Mackey's documentary coming out soon. So Nick and his crew, along with his very lovely wife, she must be part of the paranormal crew. That is Nick and his gang. Yeah, I'm reading his tweets. The last lockdown documentary coming soon. Bobby Mackey's haunted location. America's honky tonk, baby. There he is. He's a handsome fellow as well. They're a handsome couple, Nick and his wife. Sorry, I'm just going on and on here pointlessly. So
we're listening.
That's what we do, though, here at the Paranormally Zone, and we're reminded of that quite often.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that's right. This is some of a. Oh, by the way, this is half of our listeners, if not all of them, right at this moment.
Get over there!
Yeah. Apparently, not all, but the majority of our YouTube comments
On with it.
Yeah, you hush. Yes, I know. All on with it. Yes, all revolve around that, I guess, request. Get on with it. I think the last one I read was something like, I'm going to tune out pretty soon if you guys don't get to the subject or whatever it was.
Well.
So, hey, you know what? Hopefully we did get on with it soon enough for that person to stick around. And hopefully they enjoy the episode.
We have too much of an attempt of humorous banter before, I guess, the subject matter. So
failed humorous banter.
Well, yeah, I try too hard.
No, you do not. But you are very critical because you finally got around to watching some of our YouTube videos.
Yes, I did.
And what did you say about
Mary
yourself?
and I did. Mary laughed her ass off. But
with us or at us?
No, with us.
Oh, good.
She did, yeah. But yeah, it was interesting.
What did you say about yourself?
Too much.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just spoke over you. You said that you fidget too much.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Well, when I was watching, it's like I was like fixing my shirt, my hat, and I was like itching my eye and flipping around and trying to stand on my head in the corner. And
I know that's not true. You were not flipping around. You were not trying to stand on your head. You're exaggerating a wee bit, but
well, that flipping around thing, it comes from my many years of passion and desire to want to be a gymnast.
Oh, that's right.
So
not many people know that about Mike. He actually was part of the Olympic trials back in 1980. He almost made it.
Before graduation.
Just before graduation, yeah, he was highly sought out. He was a high school recruit, one of the nation's best. What did you specialize in? Was it the rings? Was it was it just a floor mat? You were out there bouncing around 10 feet in the air, flips.
The floor exercise with those long flaggy things you spin around.
Oh.
No, I have never gymnastics in my entire life.
Easy for you to say. For you to say.
If I tried to do a somersault right now before I even got started, I would probably pass out. So,
see, that reminded me real quick. I hope you had a good 4th. I hope everyone had a happy and safe 4th of July holiday.
Safe. Sorry.
A bunch of family came up and visited, stayed out at my mommy's house, and I got to visit all my brothers, which is always a good thing. Their family, and it's awesome. And sometimes co-host Mr. Show was there, obviously, and we're looking out on the lake at one point, and we saw people in their kayaks, and Mr. Show said, "Hey, look, kayakists." And I don't know if that's is that right? I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
Is it a kayaker? It's a kayaker. Kayaker.
Well, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is kayaker.
So I'm sure he'll be happy I said that, but he's like, kayakists. And so your attempt to say that you never tried any sort of gymnastics, sticks, or whatever the hell you just said, it was kind of similar. Yeah. So there you go.
I have kayaked a bunch of times, but but I've never gymnasticized.
Gymnasticized. Oh man, that sounds kind of gnarly. Gymnasticized. Yeah. That sounds like a 1980s workout video.
Well, yeah, it's where you twist your ankle and you can't do it anymore. You got to retire. We're having too much comedy and banter going on here.
Oh hell no, we are not. We are not. What is everyone saying out there? Huh?
Let's get over there.
Okay, eventually we will. We'll get there. We got a good subject for sure.
We do
one that will hopefully tickle the minds of our listeners out there. Not in an actual physical tickling manner, but spark some thoughts of their own. He'll be pretty good.
Hopefully it will tickle their brain a little bit like a lobotomy done with a feather.
See, Mike just had a lobotomy, I think, or he was imagining having one. So a lobotomy with a feather. Oh my God.
Well, it would tickle. It wouldn't hurt.
True. That's true. Depends on what member of the bird family that feather came from, I suppose, and which end you use. Anyways, are we done?
Yeah.
Is that long enough?
Yeah, I could elaborate, but I'm done.
All right. Well, if you are new to the program, believe it or not, we do get new listeners every once in a while, every fourth blue moon, something like that. If you are new, thank you for joining us. This is the Paranormally Zone, now it's bi-weekly home for all things, hell, you guessed it, paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the extremely frozen, and perhaps he will become a pasty white ghosty when he does transition through the veil, Mr. Mike Carbno. You are back, Mike. You are back. I was panicking.
I am back.
I was panicking.
Sorry.
You were totally frozen, and I thought my whole life was going to end right at that moment, my podcasting life. But you are back, and it's good to see you.
Yeah. You were frozen for just like a couple of seconds.
Now, did you transition through some sort of veil?
I think I have a few times in my life.
Okay, the reason that if you guessed it, guys, that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about what the hell do we mean when we say passing through the veil, or even the thinning of the veil. What is the veil, you may say? No, we're not talking about like some wedding veil dangling in front of some lovely lady's face. No, nay. We are not. Mike's bowing his head in shame right now. He's like, did you really just say that? We're on fire here at the Paranormally Zone. No, we're talking about that veil, Mike, that curtain, that spiritual barrier, so to speak, between the physical world and the spiritual world. We're here to break it all down. Well, attempt to break it all down and share our feeble thoughts and opinions on the matter. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. That wispy, wavy, soft veil, that little wall of energy between here and there.
I like that, man. I almost felt like you were telling me a bedtime story there for a second. Wispy, wavy.
Would you like a blanket and a pillow?
Wispy and wavy and soft. I was like, oh, man, that sounds cozy. Mike, you kind of jokingly said that you've passed through veils before. That spiritual veil. To open up the show, we're going to go as per usual, as we have for the last few months. Started off with our Ghost Gab segment, but it is related to the topic at hand. This was formerly a Patreon topic. We decided to make this part of the flagship episode. Mike, you've been a part of, in all sincerity here, with your former job, you have been right there, holding the hands of those who are passing, your hand resting gently on their forehead. I mean, you've been right there. You've witnessed, you've experienced those who are indeed passing away during those times.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, it meant a lot to you. You're a very spiritual, caring, empathetic guy. I'm sure it was pretty hard for you several times. As far as, this might sound silly, but I'm just going to throw it out there. As far as the speed of the transition from the physical to the spiritual world, Mike, this is Ghost Gab, so you can say whatever the hell you want.
Okay.
How fast does one become a ghost? I have a couple things to throw out there, but I want your thoughts. How fast does one become, air quotes, I'm doing the air quotes, a ghost?
Well, do you think of a spirit or energy of a person? If you think that's a little different than being a ghost, if there's a transition you need to do between spirit leaving your body and becoming a ghost, I think it's all the same thing. It just changes in terminology during that transition, maybe. You know what I mean? Kind of.
So it changes. So our terminology may change when describing this. I hate saying speed because time doesn't necessarily exist when we're talking about
right
spiritual world. I wrote down a couple examples here, Mike, that might kind of spark our feeble little minds here. But you remember a long time ago when we were talking about, Ted Bundy and the ghost of Ted Bundy, and, a great episode. We had, it's fascinating when you think about it. But when you think about all ghostly things, it's fascinating. It just is. But the Ted Bundy example that pops into my little noggin is the fact that immediately after his execution, security guards, if you recall, not one, a few of them, reported to have seen the smiling ghost of Ted Bundy immediately after his execution. First and foremost, your thoughts on that possibility, and if that is true, well, that sure as hell didn't take very long, did it?
No, I do believe in that possibility, and I would not doubt the authenticity of that sighting, because this was obviously a very sick, demented, evil person inside and out.
Oh God, yeah.
Soulless, and whatever soul he did have was evil. If you want to talk of demons that are spawned from Earth, well, he was,
Right.
Became a demon after he was a demon before. I mean, it was just his life. Like so many other true crime stories that we've done. But he didn't have anything, I think, special that he was meant to do or needed to do. It's like he left his body. He was done with that. And it's like he was gonna let them know that he wasn't beaten.
And thank you for saying that. That's, I believe, if I recall correctly, that's kind of what some of those witnesses thought themselves. They were like, he had that look on his face, according to these witnesses. Some said that he was smiling when they saw this, whatever you may call it, like almost antagonizing them. Like you just said, like, hey, you may have beaten me physically, but I am still here. The evil that is Ted Bundy is still around. Yeah.
Well, in that evil, I mean, that's the evil that he had and what he acted on. It was so strong and so much energy put into that for, since he was a child. And, that wasn't going to end, and he wasn't going to let it end.
So maybe perhaps special circumstances, and no, I'm not saying that he's special in any good way, of course, but in unique circumstances, perhaps the quote-unquote speed of a transition varies. Maybe for some, it never happens, obviously. But for certain individuals, it's immediate, kind of depending on that spiritual strength, I guess, whether that spiritual strength be evil spirituality or good spirituality, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. I was also thinking about, as longtime listeners know, ding, ding, dingy, dingy, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, you don't need, Mike's looking frantically for his dingy bell.
I was like really slow on that draw.
No, it's fine. Longtime listeners know that I'm a Star Wars fan, to say the least. And of course, I think of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars. He basically gives himself up so Vader can strike him down to allow Luke and his comrades to escape. Obi-Wan, the great Jedi Master, he strikes, he's stricken down, but he becomes one with the Force right there in front of Vader, because he essentially disappears.
Right.
Immediately after that, Luke hears the voice, the disembodied voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Ben, as he was affectionately referred to by Luke.
Old Ben.
Old Ben. He heard the disembodied voice say, "Run, Luke, run. Get your ass out of this place. Shit's going down." Basically. And so I started to think about the different, not displays of like a Force entity, different Force manifestations in that original Star Wars trilogy. Now, let me briefly explain. So in the first movie, well, first to us, that came out in 1977, which is part 4 now, episode 4. As I said, Obi-Wan essentially sacrifices himself. Luke immediately hears his voice, doesn't see any sort of Obi-Wan entity whatsoever. He hears his voice again towards the end of the movie when Obi-Wan says, let go, Luke. guiding him to help blow up the Death Star. He hears his voice. He doesn't see anything about Obi-Wan. Then towards the beginning of the second film, or the fifth film, The Empire Strikes Back, Luke indeed sees an apparition of Obi-Wan Kenobi before him on the frozen wasteland of the ice planet Hoth. When Luke escapes the Tauntaun lair and he's on death's door, crawling, freezing, ready to just give up.
I'm cold. I need to find me a Tauntaun.
I'm cold. Mike's favorite phrase.
I have said that a few times.
But right before Luke gives in, hell, I'll say it, the ghost, the blue glowy version of Ben, Obi-Wan appears before Luke, and he tells him, Luke, you will go to the Dagobah system. There you will learn from Yoda, the Jedi Master who instructed me. And then he disappears. And Luke's like, what the hell? And then he passes out, and then Han saves him and cuts open a Tauntaun and shoves Luke inside of it. So then, gross. Mike, as Luke is off screen, we are, as viewers, we are assuming and we are shown that Luke is becoming stronger and stronger with the Force. He's training. He was taught some by Yoda before he had to leave. Off screen between Empire and Return of the Jedi, Luke is training still. He's becoming stronger with the Force. Okay, you have to keep that in mind. Kind of like us, normal folk, hopefully becoming more spiritually attuned to the other side across that veil, right? Then in Return of the Jedi, old Ben just shows up as a blue wispy ghost and sits down on a stump and starts having a casual conversation with Luke, back and forth, just like he's seriously, literally right there. I mean, he actually moves some vines to get out of the way. He's on Dagobah after Yoda passes away, and then there's all of a sudden glowy, physical Ben chatting away with Luke.
Yoda died?
Spoiler alert.
I'm just kidding.
So I'll stop right there, but you get where I'm going. So the stronger Luke became with the Force, almost the more physical the spirit of Ben became to Luke. Mm-hmm. Do you think that is comparable in any way, Mike, to our actual abilities to interact with ghosts, hear ghosts, see ghosts? I'll just say it. Do I need to become more spiritually attuned, Mike, before I see my goddamn ghost?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, for Christ's sake, I just went on for 5 minutes and you don't even agree with me.
Hey, that was fine for old Ben.
Yeah, it was. It was. Okay, but you disagree with that.
Well, look at people that are complete skeptics that would not believe, and then all of a sudden they see something, and
that's true.
If it's in their head, like, oh my God, there it is.
That's very true. Well, you just shut me down in like 10 seconds.
Well, it's okay because I don't need to watch any of those movies ever again because you just gave it all to me.
That's very true. Well, I left out a few things.
Yeah. Some of the good parts.
I mean, our favorite Ghost Adventure member himself, Mr. Zach Bagans, he always used to introduce each show. I never used to believe in ghosts until I came face to face with one. Yeah. That was a terrible Zach impersonation, but No,
not really. It was good.
Oh, was it? Okay.
My name is Zach.
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding. He's a great guy. Did you see one of the tweets he put out where he said something like to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, but I am not a producer of whatever. I never have had any other show shut down.
I did see that. Yes, he's still getting. He has so many haters out there, man. People who just swear that Zach has the proverbial finger on the button of all Discovery Channel or Discovery Plus and Travel Channel paranormal shows. If Zach doesn't like him or if he feels threatened, boom, a click of his little Zach finger and they're gone.
But I think he does have some pull because it's it's one of the biggest paranormal shows on TV.
Well, it is the biggest. It has been the most successful.
And has been. And, if Zach, I'm not saying he would do this or if this kind of person he would be, but I'm sure he could get into a meeting, and put in some thoughts and go, okay, I'm Zach Bagans. and
Now that was a
I
bad
want all the
impersonation.
competition taken off the air.
And keep in mind, during this meeting, this closed doors meeting, he is shirtless the whole time.
Yeah. Like that Will Ferrell skit that he was in that conference room and just his underwear on the table. And
This 4th of July undies. Oh, man. Yeah, okay, yeah. We're getting a little sidetracked here. But yeah,
yes.
I don't know. I mean, we have no clue. Maybe he
No.
does, maybe he doesn't. I personally don't think that he has the say in the matter, but he might, like you said, have a strong opinion and kind of let them know how he feels about something, you know.
Yeah. Well, but you know, the Travel Channel and whatever else, if Zach wanted to threaten to pull out, that's a lot of revenue gone.
Absolutely, man. Well, we were
But still,
lucky.
not saying that he would do that.
We were lucky enough to have members of Destination Fear on the show. You know,
Yeah, they were all on. It was fantastic.
that was fantastic. And that they were quote unquote kind of discovered by Zach, and then as the
Right.
story goes, they became too successful for Zach's liking. I mean, I shouldn't say the story goes. This is what a lot of people think. And Zach kind of strongly said, "I don't want these guys on air anymore because they're becoming too much of a competition for me and Ghost Adventures." I don't flipping know. And then they had that whole tweeting reveal, you know, and they let us know some behind the scenes stuff. And I honestly didn't get a real vibe that even they were blaming Zach for it.
Yeah.
But again, who the hell knows? Who knows?
There's definitely some tension between the two, but you know,
to say the least. So again, my whole Star Wars diatribe, Mike shut it down within 10 seconds. So I apologize for wasting everyone's time on that one.
but that's just my opinion, though. I mean, you know,
But I
don't
agree
know
with
the
you.
complete answers
The
or
moment you
any
said
answer
that-
maybe at all.
The moment you said that, I agree with you. So let's compromise here. Let's say it's true on both accounts. Let's say you don't necessarily have to be, like you said, you could be a complete, you know, pseudo skeptic, and all of a sudden you're punched in the face by an invisible force. Then you're like, whoa, what the hell? I guess I'm a believer now. But you also could be one of those, like me, who wants to experience something, and so you maybe perhaps begin to consciously attempt to expand your spiritual mind, to become more spiritually attuned in order to hopefully have that proverbial slap in the face, right? I mean, I think it's safe to say both are true.
I would say, yeah, it can go either way and in any different direction or speed, I guess.
All right. Okay, then. Well, thanks for the ghost gab, or that one should be called Obi-Wan gab. Ben gab.
Yeah.
Old Ben gab.
Old Ben Gab with Patrick.
Yes, that's right. Now, Mike, okay, let's dive into the subject at hand because God forbid that we go on any longer. The thinning of the veil. When you think of that veil, that barrier, that curtain that allegedly exists between the physical world, our world, and the spiritual, how do you feel? Do you like that? What do you think? I mean, off the top of your head, Mike, what does the veil mean to you?
Well, it's that barrier that can be strengthened or weakened as needed to, you know.
It can be strengthened or weakened.
Yeah, I believe it's.
How? I'm just curious. Like what?
Well, if it's it would have to be done in a way from the other side where they have the energy and the willpower, whatever, to do that, so they can come through. Or maybe us on this side as investigators or whatever have our little tools, tricks, whatever, to thin that veil and bring them out.
Oh, okay.
You know, my opinion, depending on what the energy, the volume of energy that, you know, and what's might be needed by the other side. If they have it, I believe if they have a reason to come through, they're going to do it. And it's going to thin enough to where they can come through. Or maybe that's the thinning of the veil is just the wording or the phrasing for it. It's just like we have a feeling that they've come through. The veil must be thin here, or something is opened up for them to come through. But can they just do it anyway? I mean, is it just something that they have
Sure.
the ability to do?
So like,
I know that didn't really answer any question, but
no, I understand 100% because it's what popped in my brain when you said that was our feeble little human minds. We need to try and understand this somehow, some way. And the easiest way to try and get a grasp is to verbalize it or to give it a name,
Right.
to describe it. And what comes to mind? Breaking through the veil, thinning of the veil, just so we can somehow comprehend it in our minds. But I get what you're saying. It's something that is probably indescribable when it comes to human terminology.
right,
We're
our
just,
ability to describe it.
we're just doing the best we can.
Yeah,
No,
so
I
don't
like
ask me. I don't know.
that should be our moniker for the Paranomaly Zone. Don't ask us. I think that'd be
We
good.
don't know.
That's going to be our new Patreon sticker. Don't ask us. We're just with a picture of us both just like, hey, hands
But
up.
we can switch that up a little bit and say, "Don't ask us. We stub our toe."
Oh, there you go. Thank you for finishing that right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that way of looking at it. Do you think it is easier, Mike? I have my own answer. Is it easier for those already on the spiritual side to break through and make contact with us, or is it easier for us to break through and make contact with them?
I think it's easier for them.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
It's just it's their territory. That's their thing.
What's the old phrase? It's like, we are not. How does it go? We are not physical beings seeking a spiritual life. We are like spiritual beings within a physical existence.
Right.
I'm butchered the phrase, but that's you know what I'm referring to.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But I've always believed that.
Yeah. This is our physical vessel right now. Our physical confines.
Right.
Really, our physical restrictions. Mm-hmm. This vessel ain't nothing compared to what's on the other side.
But to go in the other direction, it's like, what about ghosts? If you want to have that term connected to these, that are stuck on this side of the veil, that are haunting and that are, being seen on a daily, not a daily, on a regular basis or whatever, that can't get over.
Yeah, they are restricted. They are trapped
So
for whatever
yeah.
reason. Or, as we've talked about 1,000 times as well, perhaps they choose to be here.
Right.
Perhaps they aren't aware that they are no longer of a physical
True.
existence. Oh, man. There's so many ways you can look at it, but
It's like a soul or a spirit that is just wandering, confused.
which is always sad to me.
And that can go on for a timeline for us for decades or a century,
Right.
or however long.
But it's
to them,
timeless to them.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I did find a lot of really interesting references to this very subject. If you care to have me share a couple points here, some talking points.
Absolutely. Go for it, man.
Go for it, man. Yeah, I found one here. It says 4 ways you feel or notice the thinning of the veil. I found one that says ask the psychic, explain the thinning of the veil. And the last one is from one Emma Sims on holistic therapies, simply describing said veil. Which one shall I start with? Let's start with the psychic. Okay?
Yes.
We've had several supposed psychics on our show. And I'm not saying supposed in a condescending manner. You have to say that, okay?
Yeah. They were all awesome that we had.
Everyone we've had on the show has been great. Even when I was staring up Chip Coffey's nose. It was
You made me automatically look over his 8x10 glossy. And I looked right at his nose.
Right at his nose. Aw, the chipster.
Reflecting all the colors of his scarf.
I know. They're lovely. Absolutely lovely. I did see the chipster. I'm sorry. I did see Mr. Coffee tweet recently that he is actually finally filming a new paranormal program. He said it's like the first thing he's done in like 2 or 3 years, and he was just very excited to finally be involved in something again. So,
Is this a new thing coming out? Or?
yeah.
Okay.
He was just it's all set up to go and start recording and all that. I mean, all the details. There were no details other than he was super excited. So,
well, we're gonna have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and I want to see this Nick Groff documentary at Bobby Mackey's too.
Absolutely, I can't miss that.
So, this psychic's name, alleged psychic, her name is Bonnie Page, and someone wrote into her, and they simply asked, "Can you explain the thinning of the veil?" So on and so forth. And she touched on a few things here, obviously, that we've already spoken about. A lot of this is pretty interesting. She states that the veil is the space between the physical and spiritual world, or heaven and hell if you choose to look at it in that manner. She also says that the thinning of the veil during the time of the year where the veil is the thinnest, is always around October 31st, Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Around the time that we would like to get back to the Sally house.
Absolutely. Oh, no, we are. We are going to do it.
Yes.
She goes on, she says that it has been told that the veil thins, and I want your thoughts on this, Mike, that the veil thins as the autumn leaves and things of nature seem to go back into the earth, and therefore leaving a larger space for higher consciousness to occur. So kind of life is returning to earth during those autumn, all the leaves are falling. I mean, yes, let's say it's life and death, but in death, life sprouts. But in doing so, it provides a larger space for a higher consciousness. She also says it's a time of quieting down our busy lives and our minds so that we may become more in tune with our higher selves and the divine, whether that be God, Jesus, angels, however you want to describe them. They could be your ancestors or your own spiritual guides.
Or Beelzebub.
I hope Beelzebub isn't around me all the time.
Right.
But she says that our ancestors and our spiritual guides are very much around us every day. But when that veil is the thinnest and we quiet our minds, that is when we finally begin to see, hear, and feel more clearly from that other side of life, the higher side. What do you think of that so far?
It's very interesting. I can see, the sense in that and the point of it, and seasonal things, could be, the alignment of planets, if you want to go that way, or whatever.
Ooh, I like that
I mean, things line up and things work out a certain way, and that adds all that energy.
I like it as well. I'm sorry, Mike, for jumping on you again, but I have to sprout this out before I forget it. I was thinking when I read that, I was like, okay, so she is suggesting that like even that higher power has its restrictions, or it is being like limited by the physical itself, and like she talks about that, the leaves returning to earth, and providing that larger space. What do you think about the physical life limiting the ability of the higher spiritual to make itself known? Are we subconsciously somehow life itself blocking our own ability to see or experience that higher level of spirituality? Do you kind of get what I'm asking there?
I believe so.
Kind of a head scratcher. I mean, we may be subconsciously doing it, but is that physical a barrier? Is the physical naturally a barrier?
I believe so, because it limits us to what we believe and how far our beliefs can go.
Our brains. I mean, as fantastic and seemingly unlimited our brains are, they are very limited.
Extremely limited. So
I get what you're saying. That's a great point. I'm sorry. Continue, please, Mike. I'm looking at other points. Okay.
I can only go so far with it.
She goes on. She says that communication becomes easier because of this thinning of the veil, and that this time is for meditation, or even taking walks in nature, or doing guided meditation, asking a guide or loved one to come closer to you so you can experience a direct connection. She even goes on to say that experiencing vivid dreams or even visitations at night from those who love you and wish to bring you a message happens more easily during this time as well. What do you think about that? I mean, I have to keep track of my dreams coming up this October.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, elaborate a little bit more on that.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. But yeah, you're right. I can see that point.
She suggests, and I know that you agree with this too. She suggests that before falling asleep, simply ask for a visitation to happen and leave the rest to the spirit world.
I have done that.
And what do you think that that's legit? Just simply ask?
Well, sure. You're putting that thought and that energy out, and the more you concentrate and meditate on that, the more strength is going to go into it. It's putting your mind and your thoughts and your whole being into that realm of accepting and letting them know that you are ready for a visitation, and then they know to come through, possibly.
I like that you said, you're letting them know that you're ready. Because maybe they don't visit you because they're not sure if you are ready for that.
Right.
Maybe?
That could be. I have actually very recently, and actually in the last few days, I have really been concentrating and trying to receive something or some images, or like I have with other people.
Oh, sure.
With my mother, I've really been having a strong desire to really have some communication with my mother, and I've had very little blips here and there that just that come up, but I'm still working on that. So basically, I'm doing that same thing. Relaxing, concentrating, meditating, and then just see what comes in, like I've done with like your dad. And
yeah, absolutely. Your dad, Mary's child.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get that. I like that too. This next one, Mike, I mentioned earlier. 4 ways to feel / notice the thinning of the veil, connecting with the universe. And again, I apologize if this seems like story time with Patrick, but this is just how it's going. Okay.
It's good. I'm going to probably fall asleep this time.
No,
but
please
go
don't.
ahead.
Please don't.
No,
I need you
I
to
won't.
respond every now and then.
Yeah.
Well, it starts off here. It says, over the last few years, especially since 2020, the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world has been thinning. Do you buy that? We all know what happened in 2020. Do you think that had I'm not going to say adverse effect, but perhaps a positive effect on that thinning of the veil?
I think there's been a lot more energy put into that. I think there's more people believing,
or people,
and yeah, right.
I like people.
Yeah, well, they're except for the purple ones. Yeah, I don't like
The
them.
purple people. Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm popping my peas there. Sorry,
The purple people eaters, whatever. Anyway,
Vikings reference.
what was I saying? Oh,
I don't
dang
know. Something about being
But
purple.
Yeah, I made myself lose concentration there.
No, you were thinking that a lot more people have been putting spiritual energy themselves out there since 2020 for various reasons.
Sure, and plus, the ever growing education that we're getting from, if you want to look at it that way, of all the new paranormal shows that are coming up or whatever. There's energy building all the time. It's like getting us closer and getting more people closer.
No, I like that. I like looking at it that way. It goes on here. It said psychics, intuitives, mediums, empaths, and sensitive souls have been feeling the effects of the veil thins, and more people are awakening to their spiritual truths.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the time.
It's the time, and it's cyclical. I mean,
right.
It's.
Yeah.
I mean, each one affects the other one, right?
I would say so. Yeah.
Now, this article, the author claims to be a spiritual mentor, an intuitive guide, and an author. So we'll have to go look up the some books by this article's author. I'm looking for the author right now, and maybe it's towards the bottom. So remind me to give a shout out to the author, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
He or she, because I don't know who they are, is dedicated to bringing more awareness to spiritual and emotional healing, shadow work, trusting your intuition, and learning to connect with the universe. Now, what does the veil mean spiritually, you may ask? Ask that, Mike. What does the veil mean spiritually?
What does the veil mean spiritually?
Thank you for asking. Terrific question. Now, if you visualize the veil as, let's say, a curtain, which we mentioned earlier, as it blocks your physical sight of something, yet that light can still pass through the curtain. I kind of like where this metaphor is going.
Yeah, they aren't window or room darkening curtains.
Yeah, or analogy is going, I guess. The spiritual significance of the veil is the curtain that distinguishes between the spirit world and the physical world. Now, to lift that veil in psychic or medium speak is to simply connect with the other side. This is an ability to connect with the spirit world in order to receive information, clarity, support, guidance, what have you. Now, what is the spiritual significance of the thinning of the veil? Now, ask that, Mike. What is the spiritual significance of the thinning of the veil?
The spiritual significance.
No, you're supposed to ask me.
Oh, okay. What you said.
Okay. Thank you for asking. Terrific question. The author goes on to say, as more and more humans strengthen their connection with the universe, open themselves up to living in a spiritual alignment with their sole purpose, the veil between the spirit world and the physical world thins. So kind of similar to what we've talked about already. More and more people putting that energy out there, kind of creating that cyclical closeness between the spiritual world and the physical world. This means it has become, in fact, easier for us humans to connect with the spirit world, that being angels, ancestors, spirit guides, passed on loved ones, so on and so forth. Now, the thinner this veil gets, the more people feel connected to that higher power and are able to connect with themselves as more than just a human. So it's like there is a mass movement of spiritual connectivity that's been going on.
Oh, it's been going on since the beginning of spiritualism, you know,
Right.
and that goes way, way back.
And you know what?
Anyway,
Dare we say that there has been kind of a movement as far as acceptance of the possibility of the paranormal being legit? I mean, how many people have guffawed at that possibility for decades and decades? And it's kind of maybe that reopening of the proverbial open mind is in fact helping
Absolutely.
that spirit world reveal itself. What do you think of that possibility?
Absolutely, and since the beginning of spiritualism, like I was saying, at that time, you know, there was a lot of fraud and going on, and you know, fakes and whatever, and you know that you can tell the fake spirit photography, and but I think as time has gone by and up to this point, I think it's growing considerably throughout that entire time. And now, I mean, we have so many people that are going to mediums and getting psychic readings, whatever, and getting in touch with the other side that way. That's a lot of energy going out. I mean, and so many people are doing it. I mean, it's gone through fads where, well, this is what we do. You know, like even, you know, big names in Hollywood or politics or whatever, they even go to these people, and the more that's done, the more energy is going to give to that, and it's just going to keep thinning. It's not meant to thin all the way down and open up completely, and it's going to be like Ghostbusters 1 and 2 or anything like that. But
Sure.
but you know,
So is that veil always going to be there, Mike, in your mind, or can it be broken through, so to speak, or is it always there? It just depends on how thin it gets, right?
right, and it also, I think, just the fact that of the dimension that we're in, and there's so many dimensions after where we are. You know, we're not meant in this dimension, I think, to have that thin enough to where it's gone, or
Maybe
where
you know
can
what?
just
Maybe there are several veils between each like level of consciousness. What do you think?
Sure.
What do you think of that possibility? Maybe. I mean, we're talking about the thinning of the veil into like level 4B, you know, before we even get to
Right.
level C, B, or CA, and all the way up to an A plus.
Yeah.
We have to break through several of these damn veils. Is that
Well,
what's happening?
you know, each veil that is broken through, it thins it. I mean, that
Right.
that could make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's why I love having these conversations with you, Mike, because how much of it is just quite literally off the top of our head.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Off the top of her head and speculation and,
And that's why people hate us and love us. I've noticed that there isn't a real in-between out there for Paranormally Zone listeners. We
Really?
have
Yeah.
some of the most devoted listeners out there because they've been with us forever. And I just love that. And then we have those who check us out for 10 minutes and leave a nasty comment and leave. And then, so I don't know. Hey, let us know if you guys like us. No better way to support the podcast other than signing up maybe for that Patreon subscription for as little as $1 a month. Let's get out that nasty required guilty, well, not guilty, required, I don't know. What the hell am I looking for? I'm having a brain malfunction. If you enjoy this brain malfunction, give us $1 on Patreon.
yeah.
No, you can sign up for as little as $1 for exclusive Patreon content. We have over 400 exclusive posts, Mike. Over 400! Coming up on our 75th exclusive Paranormally Zone episode, available nowhere else. Aside, I think I published maybe 4 or 5 episodes from the Patreon page on the flagship feed. Yep. Other than that, you got 70 or so exclusive episodes. We're going to record another one here very, very soon, maybe today, depending on Mike's energy level and mine. But
I am an old man,
Lots of cool stuff over there, including our own ghost adventures, audio, video clips, EVPs, Sally House footage. We are returning to the Sally House again. We're going to have another awesome night there. Again, if you support the podcast, if you want to support the podcast, no better way. No obligations. You can sign up for $1. Check it out for a month, then you can leave. We had a person sign up for about 6 hours, and that's no joke. And then they left. So
it's like, that's enough of that.
Exactly. So I'm saying you don't have to stick around. But if you like us, check out the Patreon content and leave reviews wherever you are listening. We need those reviews. You're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, whatever. Reviews help. Good reviews make that site. It almost forces them to promote the show. They say, hey, maybe you guys should check this podcast out because it's getting so many likes and so many positive reviews. So we need that help out there, boys and girls, and we appreciate it. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
Mike is shaking his head. I'm trying to make those plugs as fast as I can, Mike. I really am.
Yeah. No, but I was thinking, was it earlier today, I think, thinking about the Sally House, we're getting back to that and everything.
Yeah.
And we do want to try and somehow make a trip into the Northwoods of Minnesota, like on a good big foot.
Yes, absolutely.
But also, those woods, those forests throughout Minnesota, there is also the Wendigo.
I knew you were going to say that.
What would you think about going on a Wendigo hunt?
Mike, if we encountered a Wendigo, I would okay, first I would poop my pants.
Yeah.
Then I'd pass out. Or the other way around. I don't know.
And then you'd be eaten by the Wendigo.
Right. I'd be pierced by its antlers, and then I'd become part of the legend as people sight a Wendigo with a little tiny man attached to his head.
They see Patrick's head hanging from a tree with his his whole spine hanging from it, and nothing else.
Look at the size of that thing's head. Oh, wait. Yeah, and we had some awesome suggestions for locales to check out by the awesome She Squatchers. We appreciate that so much. Former guests on the show. Love to talk to them again sometime as well. Now, Mike, how does the thinning of that veil impact your connection with the universe? Well, I think we've been kind of talking about that. The more and more people who become attuned to this, or more and more people who are open-minded to it, and more people who believe in the spiritual world, that naturally has an effect on a quote-unquote thinning of this veil, because it, in essence, we are creating a request, a worldwide, please help us out, let us know type thing, consciously or subconsciously, directly requesting of that spiritual world to help us out, to come connect with us. I mean, this energy is amounting. It's hard to ignore. A lot of people want the truth. They want evidence of the truth. Another thing that popped my mind, Mike, is like the abundance of paracons and spiritual conventions like that. That's another example in itself.
Well, exactly. When you think of how many people get together that have this belief and have this
Right.
strong connection and what they believe, I mean, that's some very concentrated energy, in one place, and that's a lot
Amen.
going out.
Amen. I'm glad that the author here wrote out very briefly here when I said, how does the thinning of the veil impact your connection with the universe? Well, they simply say you will begin to see more and more signs, messages, and synchronicities from the universe more often in your life. Those synchronicities, man, are hard to ignore sometimes.
Exactly.
If you allow yourself to focus on those and really think deep, there's no way that those are coincidental.
Right.
It's something that, like, hey, something or someone is letting me know that perhaps they're watching us, right?
Yeah. Especially when you get these coincidences too close together, and they're
right.
And they're often.
No, amen, man. I believe you. I am totally on with you on that one. I'm on with you on that one. I sounded really smart, didn't I?
Yep.
All right, Mike. Just think of a weird joke. Come on now. Come on. No, I'm kidding. Well, finally, the last reference we have here, I mentioned earlier, this is from an Emma Sims. This is from Holistic Therapies. emmasims.co.uk. Shout out to Emma Sims and her website there. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not her website, but who knows? Yeah, it is. It's Emma Sims. It's literally emmasims.co.uk. So, yes, it is her website, you dork. I'm talking to myself. I find this very interesting. She begins by saying, the veil. Now, she says, when we are born, we have been taught to, quote, forget the spiritual realms. Simply by being born, we forget the spiritual.
Our first introduction to the veil.
Right. Exactly. That's where I'm going with
physically.
This. She says this forgetting is sometimes referred to as the veil between this and other worlds, acting like a curtain so that we cannot see, perhaps in order for us to focus on life on earth, as that is our task at hand. So the moment we are popped out in physical form, we forget, because we are no longer enlightened spiritually. I mean, we are spirit, we are of spirit,
but
we
it's
are
like
born spirit,
over.
But then we are born physical, and therefore we forget everything that we've known. I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I like that too. It's like the veil isn't like a physical thing where you see like a spirit on one side and a human on the other side with this energy between them.
Right.
The veil is just simply the terminology that's used for that automatic.
It's what's blocking us. It's what's blocking each individual.
It's blocking. Yeah.
I kind of like that.
I do too.
She goes on to say that the veil blankets the memories of other lives as well, other realities, and varies in density between each soul incarnated here. I mean, we automatically forget all of our other existences because, as you said, Mike, we are reborn. We are brand new. We are learning again, hopefully learning.
Right. But I think that can come in different levels too, because we are born new physically, but we can be like what they call an old soul that comes into physical existence with some knowledge, but still needs to, maybe tap into that or accept it or realize that's what's going on.
I love that. I'm really digging this perspective here. She says that some of us may choose to incarnate with more open, thinner veils and are likely to be classed as sensitive, oversensitive, or highly sensitive because certain things, certain esoteric truths are, quote, remembered more easily for what we've incarnated here to do, our life purpose. I like that. She goes on to say, for some, shock and trauma can tear the veil. Shock and trauma can tear that veil for some people. That kind of makes sense too. So they are opened up further and become more sensitive. I mean, how many people have had near-death experiences and they come back wholehearted believers?
Oh yeah, and with abilities.
Right. Oh, God, exactly, Mike. Some people, what are those stories? Oh, there's so many. I'm sorry. I'm kind of rambling here, and I apologize. There's a guest that I listened to on the awesome Jim Harold podcast, the Paranormal Podcast by Jim Harold. Former guest on this podcast over a decade ago. But there's a guest on there who, quote unquote, died, and when he came back to life, he saw and understood the earth, the universe, as he never had before. He saw it and understood it as simply geometry. The universe is math. Everything were geometric figures, equations. The universe is a mathematic equation, essentially. And that's how he, all of a sudden, he understood it. He basically came back an uber genius. That blows my mind, no pun intended. It absolutely blows my mind when stuff like that goes down.
That would never happen to me because I can hardly add and subtract. So.
But you would be enlightened, though, Mike. You don't know.
Yes.
That block, that veil of your brain would no longer be there, and you would understand it, and you would see it as
the
it
veil in
truly
my
were.
brain is very thick.
Yes. What is that William Blake quote that Jim Morrison often said? When the doors of perception are cleansed, things will appear to you as they truly are, infinite. I love that quote.
And I am the lizard.
No, that was John Lennon. He was the walrus.
Yeah, well, whatever.
He didn't go up there and say, I'm the lizard. It was the Lizard King, Mike. He was.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it was some lizard something.
Hey, I'm a lizard.
Fast running thing across the desert floor, burning its little
man.
feet.
That's a whole nother topic as well, man. Just, talk about conspiracies about how certain people throughout time have been sought out by the higher ups, Mike, because they present a threat to their control of society. And people, I mean, I don't buy it, but there are so many out there who are open-minded to the idea of people like Hendrix and Morrison and Lennon being taken out because they have too much of an influence on the
Princess
youth of America. Anybody, you know what I'm saying?
You never know.
Yeah, but that's a whole other story. But
yeah, exactly. It was paparazzi.
Yeah. She goes on to say, as the veil becomes more translucent, echoes of other realities and existence can be felt. The veil, like a sticky web, she says, the veil, like a sticky web, keeps us in the dark, intricately binding our chakras and aura and our ego, which is our lower self, together so that we are a more dense vibration. This makes it difficult initially for us to get in touch with our soul. That veil, Mike, again, it's that unknown. It's what we are producing. That's what is hindering us. This way of looking at this veil, this interpretation of the veil is fascinating to me.
It is.
It's almost it is a self-produced barrier to our higher, more enlightened selves.
That's why we want to open ourselves up and we want to raise our vibration,
Yes. As we develop and become more sensitive, as we work through issues, blocks such as hatred and our general dysfunctions, so the veil thins, dissolves, and falls away, becomes more transparent in order that we can see through it. Sometimes when this happens, past lives can surface spontaneously. But if all time is now is capitalized, why do we rarely experience future lives surfacing spontaneously? She says because perhaps they are unresolved issues, quote, blocks from the past, and they will play out in our current present. So we never broke through that veil in our past lives, and so therefore that veil is even stronger in this life, Mike. And we
carries over.
It carries over, and therefore we cannot connect. It is more difficult, more of a struggle for us to connect to that higher spiritual world. I like that.
Yeah. And then that's where we come up with, like being cleansed and have a cleansing, like people burn sage or things like that to clear these things. Things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you said old souls, scrolling down, she finished here her article with references to just that. And again, she says, as all time, as we know it, as all time, as we describe it and understand it, is now, again, capital N-O-W. She says it might be that there are no old souls, since all time is now. Everything is now. Many lifetimes could be occurring simultaneously. Right in this instant. Those that we refer to as past and future lives, but may not have knowledge of right now. In this instant, this life, our soul could be choosing to experience an existence where the veil is thinner, where we can, quote, remember more for the purposes of helping others to awaken. Bam! Damn. I kind of like that. Emma Sims. I think she worded it, her interpretation, her thoughts, her theories. I like it. I like them a lot.
I should write her name down. And
Emma
into
Sims.
that more.
E-M-M-A.
Where's my pen?
Well, it's easy enough to remember. It's Emma. Then
for you.
Oh, that's true.
Emma Sims.
And that's only one M.
One M.
One M.
On both words?
No, Emma, 2 M's, and Sim,
Okay.
1 N. Sims, 1 N.
I crossed out one of the M's. Got it. Okay, cool.
I like that.
Maybe we should see if we can have her on the show.
Oh, that'd be
Boy,
great.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great. Well, I think
Reach out, Patrick.
I think we hopefully opened up the minds of some of our listeners there. Share your thoughts on what you guys think all about this veil. Are you all about the veil being this spiritual barrier, this curtain, so to speak, or is it something that is self-created, that is causing us to forget, and we need to relearn? I love all those possibilities. Let us know your thoughts. All that blows my mind. It really does.
Yeah. Or if you have a veil that is kind of like made out of really greasy old baloney, then
That too.
just let it go, because you have no hope. Sorry.
On that profound note, Mike, it's time for a return to our mom. Let's return to mom time. Moments of the
It is.
macabre.
Macabre.
Moments of the macabre.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, this one is bizarre. I had never heard of this. So stop me right away, Mike. If you are familiar with, I gotta find the name of it. It was known as the Dancing Plague of 1518. Are you familiar with the Dancing Plague of 1518?
Is it something to do with a village or whatever that was stricken by everybody dancing and cannot stop?
You would be correct. You are correct. I mean, it's kind of something that you can kind of figure out even if you weren't aware of it, I suppose. But
I think actually I may have a slight
I'm sure you
memory of reading something about that a long time ago.
It's really weird. It definitely has its macabre moments for sure, just because people died. I mean, that's awful.
And this is recorded, documented as much as it would have been at that time.
Right. This is all based on basically like the chronicler of the day back then.
And was it in like Europe somewhere? Yeah, England.
The city of Strasbourg, Mike. The city of Strasbourg. 1518. What?
That's not England, though.
No. No. Yes, of course, we are referring to, well, I shouldn't say of course, we are referring to the Dancing Plague, an inexplicable phenomenon that shook the city of Strasbourg. Now, what started with one woman's uncontrollable urge to dance. Woo! Yee-haw, I'm dancing.
I've known people like that. Too much tequila and you go.
I have always been someone, back in my single days, I couldn't stand it when, it sounds weird, because I just don't dance. But I would feel so bad when a girl would ask me to dance. It didn't happen that much. Of course it didn't. But I'd be like, nah, and I'd make some joke like, I'm afraid I'm going to break my hip. I'm too old. I just don't like it. Do you like dancing, Mike?
You would probably dance like Elaine on Seinfeld.
No. I like how you enunciated her name too. Elaine.
From Seinfeld. Anyway, you were saying something when I walked all over you. Go ahead.
That's okay. It all began with one Frau Truffaut. Or Trophier? I'm not sure.
Oh, Trophier would be French.
So there you go. Frau Trophier.
and it would be Madame Trophier.
But it's Frau though, so and it's Strasbourg.
That's German,
right?
And yeah.
So a local resident, Frau Trophier, who suddenly found herself compelled to dance in the streets along with David Bowie and Mick Jagger, unable to stop.
Have you ever watched that?
I have.
The sound,
and
without the sound at all.
No.
But that one that they have where they have dubbed in.
No, I haven't seen that. No.
Oh, you got to see that. It's so funny.
I
It's
need
amazing.
to see it. That is like I hope to God they made it that corny on purpose. I am like one of the world's biggest David Bowie fans. I love the guy. The guy is a genius. He was, R.I.P. Still is. And I'm a Rolling Stones fan. My God, that video was ridiculous. Those two look like... Oh, I'm not going to say anything.
How else could they collaborate, though? I mean,
Well,
Mick
there are
Jagger
rumors.
couldn't do a Bowie thing, and Bowie couldn't do exactly a Jagger thing.
Not even close.
So they just had to throw the crap together and see what came out. I don't know.
And it was crap, that's for sure. But crap that you look back on fondly.
Yeah, but it was the times too. I mean,
It was. Oh, absolutely, it was. What was that? 84 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And by the way, hats off to Mick Jagger. My God, he's
the
81
Walking
years
Dead.
old. But he's 81 years old and he's still dancing on stage like he's 74. You know,
And
it's
still
amazing.
hasn't caught up to Keith Richards.
No one will, Mike. Keith
No.
Richards has been dead for over 50 years. Little known fact.
Yeah, and he also knew Methuselah, so
He did. Yes.
yeah, they were band members in a early stick band.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I thought they were relatives. You can kind of see the resemblance. But anyways, Frau Truffaut began dancing madly in the street. She could not stop herself, Mike.
I got
Unable to
demons
stop.
running all through me.
Got demons. Oh, right. Exactly. Now, within days, this is where it starts getting weird. Within days, imagine this poor lady. She's out there dancing by herself. Slowly,
Crying, sweating,
probably
can't
chanting.
stop to go to the bathroom.
Summoning her inner David Bowie. More and more people joined in. All of them swaying, spinning in eerie-like trance states. Trance-like states, Mike. Eerie trance-like states. Now the numbers continued to grow over the days, as did the chaos and the inevitable exhaustion. It says here that legend has it the dancing plague was a form of mass hysteria, thought to be caused by either, no one knows, there are theories. Some people say simply stress. Others say religious fervor. Some say food poisoning.
I got a bad fish.
You know, when you eat a bad halibut or something, Lord knows I want to start dancing in the streets. First thing that
Don't
pops
eat
in my brain.
the scrod. Don't eat the scrod. Anyway.
Oh, man. People from all walks of life, regardless of age or social status, became caught up in this frenzy, compelled to dance until physical collapse or even death. Now, this is according to the dancing plague physician and chronicler Nicolas Venet, another French-sounding name.
That's very French, yes.
Now, he wrote, dancing with rapid breath and great anguish, they hardly lasted out 2 or 3 days. Then, having been lashed mercilessly by the whip, or pierced by swords and knives, some died, while others succumbed to hunger or sheer exhaustion. So he wrote down that not only were some of them whipped or stabbed to death, trying to get them to stop dancing, others kept on dancing and starved to death because they couldn't stop to feed themselves. What the hell? Authorities, of course, were very perplexed.
Well, killing them doesn't work. What the hell do we do next?
Exactly. We just let them go. I mean, do they start charging other people to watch them dance?
Yeah. 2 shilling.
Oh, hey, very good.
Oh, no, that's English.
That was very good, though. That was a good impersonation. Obviously, very perplexed and alarmed, they attempted to intervene, banning music and organizing makeshift stages in an effort to contain the dancers. Yet their efforts only fueled the frenzy further, Mike, which it always does. attracting more participants drawn to the chaos. They always say, if there were no rules, there would be no rule breakers. Kind of the same look or kind of the same idea here. What the hell? They're trying to stop these people from dancing? Let's start dancing. The dancing plague of 1518 remains a haunting mystery, challenging our understanding of the human mind and the depths of mass hysteria. To this day, it serves as a stark reminder of the strange and unsettling occurrences that can grip humanity when faced with the unknowns. Now, the official numbers here range, Mike, between 100 and 400 deaths as a result of the dancing plague of 1518.
Well, that's quite a spread there.
Yeah, well, right, exactly. Is it 100 or is it 400?
Well, there wasn't very good records kept back then.
Well, no, of course not. But again, I mean, I'm not making a joke of it, but people were dropping dead left and right back then anyways, and so a lot of it was probably, connected to the plague. Maybe a lot of it wasn't. Obviously, their deaths weren't identified, no root cause, and so they attributed it to the dancing plague. So my guess is that the numbers are closer to the lower end as opposed to 400. But man, just one person dying from this is awful. Sure.
Yeah, you see the town or the village council watching all this are going, yeah, I don't think it's bubonic, but but boy, we got something going here.
I know. Someone write this down before we forget. Come on, Louis, where's that pen? Louis, get over here. I don't know why I said Louis, but whatever.
Sorry, my inkwell dried up.
Can you keep dancing until we find a new ink? Do not fall over as of yet. Oh, man. So there you go. Definitely macabre.
It's I'm sure some people went to the idea of witchcraft and
amen.
And of course demons, like I had mentioned. Yeah.
For 100% demonic possession was probably believed by everybody to be the cause.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine something like that, identical to that, happening now?
No, you can't.
Yeah. It's like half of Pasadena is dancing to the death.
I know. Well, that's like one of my, I apologize, Mike, real quick here. One of my several books that I just enjoyed thoroughly. I'm just pulling it up here. Might have been the last one I finished, actually, but it's a true story. And it is based on such a thing. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm wasting. They're like, we don't give a shit. Get on with it. Oh, I'm sorry. you mean this? You mean that?
Get on with it!
Yes, I'm trying. Shut up. Yeah, I'm going through. This was an Audible book of mine, so I'm trying to find it, and of course, it's not popping up. So I'm just wasting everyone's time. But it's a true story about such like witchcraft hysteria, demonic hysteria that plagued, how many villages over time, back in the day, and people were needlessly murdered and enslaved, tortured, just because of belief, and fear. Right. Yeah, I can't find it. I apologize. And at the moment we stop recording, I will remember it. Our next Patreon episode, I'll have the author and the book, and I'll recommend it thoroughly. Mike, this has been a great discussion, man.
It has.
I think this went pretty well. I don't feel like...
A couple of nitwits?
No, I don't. I don't feel like we're a couple of nitwits right now. So.
Well, I'll take up the slack for you on that one.
Oh, no, okay.
Because
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts, Mike? Thanks for making this work. When we wrap up here, we can take a break. Are you cool with doing like a quick Patreon episode?
I think so.
Awesome. I have an idea for that too. It's going to be a great one. Stick around, boys and girls. Check out our Patreon. Well, don't stick around today because this episode will be done. So
yeah,
go listen to past episodes you haven't listened to yet. And then go check out our Patreon page because we're recording another episode as of right now. Mike, final thoughts on today's episode.
I'll give it a 10 on a scale of 12.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it was very interesting. It's things that as people that are into the paranormal as we are and investigating and talking about it's something that needs to be thought of more and, build that energy.
Amen. Those are great final words for this episode. Yep. Help us all kind of not necessarily break through, but let's thin that veil even more and become more consciously aware of that of what lies ahead or beyond. Mike, this has been awesome. What do our paranormal pals, until the next time, what do they need to do?
Peace out a little bit.
Ooh, he's Irish again.